Good morning, good afternoon to you, wherever you are in the world today, and welcome again. And guess who we have with us today? What a privilege, an honor indeed. We have South Africa's one and only, the foremost, the expert, Dion Chang from Flux Trends. Welcome, Dion.
Hi, Charlotte, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Yes, it's lovely, lovely to be speaking to you.
You and I spoke many years ago on another topic, which we won't go into now. We're going to talk about, we know the world is in huge pandemic and everything we can do to make an impact, to make a change for others and influence them to think with hope and possibility. Let's share with them.
Yes, good.
And for anyone who wants to know, in the bottom of this viewing, I will post links to Colin's latest talks, etc., that you can sign up with him for, and his website details. So Dion, we're talking about passion and purpose today, and you've been in your industry, you've been in the people knowledge industry for over 20 years, and specifically in the current one for 14 years as Flux Trends. What has been your passion? How did you know this was going to be your passion and your lifeblood?
So it's a tricky question because I want to say to anybody who's watching or listening to this is that I think people look at passion and say, I think, every parent says to their children, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And the biggest thing to drive that passion is to say, if you're really passionate about something, you're never going to work a day in your life, because if you do something that you really, really love, it's not going to feel like work. I've got a slightly different spin on that, is that I think passion can also be fluid. So my initial passion really was in design, and that's where I started, out. If people, Google me, then they'll find out that I had a very, very long, like you said, I had a 20-year career in magazines, in fashion media, but I studied fashion at first, and I was, I think, an anomaly, because when I was still in, I call it standard 7, but still in high school, I had a very, very clear vision that I wanted to go to design school and learn design. So that was really unusual for somebody to have a very, very clear vision of their passion then. But having spent, and even that passion started changing. So I thought I wanted to go into design, but that morphed into a 2-decade career within magazines and fashion media, so glossy magazines, all of those kind of things as well. The reason why I say it's fluid is that after a while, I wanted to do something else. And I think, possibly it was my restless spirit, or that I needed to keep moving. And when I started Flux Trends, I looked back and I realized that the passions had been lining up, but it had led to a different path, a sort of a fork in the road. And essentially what dawned on me was, after when I started my magazine career, I was part of the startup team that brought Elle magazine into South Africa. I started editing a men's publication before there were any other men's publications like GQ or the fitness magazines that came through. And then even after that, I left the magazine industry to help Lucilla Boyson kickstart South African Fashion Week. So it dawned on me from that passion that the next passion was to start new things. I was always at the forefront of starting things, and that's when I started Flux Trends. And I always jokingly say I started a trend company when trends weren't trendy, and then even then it sort of grew into something different, and then went into more of a corporate world. So that's why I say the question is quite strange, because it wasn't a one goal passion, which I think a lot of people frame what that purpose and passion is. But I think it's a very good conversation to have really now, because I think with global lockdown, we've all had that kind of existential crisis sitting at home and finding out what is our purpose, what is reality, what do we really, really want to do. So I think it's a very, very good question to ask right now. But my answer is that it can evolve as well.
Beautiful. And the next question will probably answer for those who maybe feel they need a little bit more structure in traditional way of thinking of passion and purpose. What does your passion feed in your life?
Well, I think then it goes back to that whole thing about saying, if you're really interested in something, then you're not going to feel like you're working. So what I do at Flux Trends is you kind of live and breathe it, because to enable what I do, I have to read a lot, and I have to not be very too compartmentalized into what I read, because if I limit what I read and my interests, and I stay in a bubble, then I'm doing what I do as a disservice to my profession now. So I would say to people is what feeds you is what it does go back to. What are you really interested in? But I think the trick for most people is finding out how that actually translates into a practical job, a revenue stream or something like that. How do you manage to do that without losing the passion? And I think that is the real trick about it. I think the easy thing is to find that passion. I think that the difficult thing is to dovetail the practicalities of living and doing those things and turning it into a business. And then there's another twist into it. 14 years into running this business is, how do you keep that passion alive and you don't get bogged down with the daily operations of running a business, because that can also divert your passion. So your passion can flare up and can evolve really quickly, but it can also be killed with things that you did not expect that come with it. So the running of the business, the cash flow, all of those kind of things that if you're a business owner, you'll resonate with you. So it's a tricky balance, let's say, of balancing it to maintain that you keep that passion in your life.
Beautiful, thank you. And when you think about your future and you think about people around you that are going through this crisis of possibly redefining their identity through the pandemic and redefining how they want to go forward, for me, it's key that they have a self-belief in that place. So
Yes.
when you look at passion and purpose, what would you advise them going forward, knowing that there's got to be the balance on the practical? What would you give them as an imparting wisdom note?
I'm glad you said that it's about that self-confidence, because I think what normally prohibits people from taking that leap of faith is it's job security. It's, I can't shake it up. I'm in a certain stage of my career. There's expectations. If you're younger, there's expectations from parents or something like that. So it's really just about, taking that leap of faith, or doing incremental things towards changing a life. If that passion is quite deviant from what you're normally doing, it's going to be even more difficult to be able to break away from that. So my the parting shot is really to dip that toe into that water. It could be uncharted waters. It could be a rapid of a river. It could be something that you're not sure of. But I think the fundamental thing is to I know it sounds corny, but to follow that dream, but to do it slowly, but to do it with intent. And I think that's what people don't do, is that they have that passion, they've got that the sense of purpose, but they don't want to make that first step. And that first step is the hardest thing to do. When I started this business, I had created a media persona in the fashion industry, in the magazine industry, and to completely swing right out of that. People said, "Are you crazy? You've spent all of this time building up this reputation and this media profile. You kind of going to throw it away." And my answer to that was, just because it was there, and if it started becoming less fulfilling, it doesn't mean I had to be trapped within that. And that's also a very interesting thing to do, is not get trapped within what you think is going to be for the rest of your life or whatever. So I think the fluidity and the transience is what I advocate.
Thank you so much, Dion. What can sum up and what I've heard is that it's being conservatively, intentionally powerful in your new identity and believing in your dreams, and to take those steps what you are comfortable with, one step at a time, or jump into it. But either way, you know, one of the things we remember is we never know how things are going to turn out. No job,
Yes.
nothing we study is ever going to say you're going to be successful and have certain things attached to that. It's just what you make of it. So, Dion, thank you so much for that. It's been an absolute privilege to speak to you again, an honor. And
Thank
I'll
you.
watch I get your emails. Everyone must subscribe to them. I'm always fascinated with the angles that you capture and what you step into in that space. So you are an innovative pioneer for sure. Thank you, Dion.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks so much.